Here's the latest World Champion Checkmate challenge. And this one is considerably more difficult than the first. This is quite subtle. So this is between Wilhelm Steinitz and Emmanuel Lasker. Lasker playing black. Now this is actually from their 1896 match. Lasker had defeated Steinitz for the first time in 1894 to win the title of World Champion. And well, it was pretty convincing. Steinitz was a pretty old man by the 1890s. He was born in 1830, and Lasker was a much younger man. Lasker born in 1868. And yeah, both matches pretty convincing. This is a very interesting position. So Lasker, black to play. How did he win from this position? I'll come back to this in a second. Lasker was an extraordinary man, a polymath, talented in so many different spheres. His real profession was as a mathematician, as an academic. But not only he dabbled, dabbled is perhaps too mild a word, dabbled with chess. He also played bridge at a very high level. He was a philosopher. He wrote plays. An extraordinary man. He was born in Germany, but he was really cosmopolitan. He spent time in the Netherlands, in England, United States. After 1933, he was forced to flee Nazi Germany. And, well, after a bit, he found himself in the Soviet Union, where he was invited to stay. But after a bit, he realised, well, this was also not the safest place to be in Stalin's Soviet Union, and found a lot of his friends and acquaintances simply disappearing. So he managed to flee the Soviet Union and found his way to the United States, and well, he eventually died there in 1941. But I mean, he was such a strong player. I remember hearing Yuri Averbach talk about Lasker. Yuri Averbach, he's the oldest living grandmaster, and he played against Lasker in a simultaneous display in Moscow in the 1930s, and has a recollection of Lasker as being a very old man and looking very grey, and as grey as the colour of the ash that came out of his cigar that he sort of almost, chain smoked. And it's funny, the trademark cigar is also mentioned by Tarrasch when they played their World Championship match. Tarrasch said, Lasker's cigars are gas producing. They remove the oxygen. So how could I win? It was not his play which did it for me, but his cigars. There we are, that's a funny one. So anyway, let's get to the position. Lasker, black to play, has this wonderful battery of queen and bishop, which would very much like to checkmate on this square or this square, but they're both covered by queen and rook. So Lasker played rook e8. I mean, one could take a pawn here, but after this queen exchange, then white is back in the game. Lasker wanted to keep the attack, and he played rook e8. So the threat is simply to bring the rook down the board. Say to e3, that can't be taken because the queen would deliver mate on g2, and yeah, a rook to g3, and it'll be mate pretty shortly. So that's the threat. So if bishop takes pawn, for example, then now queen h5 is fatal, threatening a bishop, threatening also a rook check here, and it's really too much for white. So after rook e8, f5 played by Steinitz, so that covers the e3 square, and now Lasker simply came back again. It's a very beautiful move, and this position is a kind of Zugzwang. White, whatever white plays, it basically compromises his position. So if he moves the rook up, then it's mate here. If the queen moves away from g2, it's mate here. If rook g1, then we can take, and queen d6 check, and that's fatal. White has to block with the rook, and then we exchange, and b5 is winning for black. Basically the pawn goes through first. That pawn can be stopped by the bishop. Or if f6, then simply rook takes g5 is winning for black. So Steinitz played rook e1, but then queen takes f5, and now black is really starting to break through once the support has gone for this bishop. If rook g1, to support the bishop, then bishop here threatens the pawn. If queen e3, rook e8, queen moves away, queen h3, for example. So after queen f5, Steinitz played rook e5. Queen f3, threatening a mate here. d5, check, and queen takes rook. And of course, with a clear exchange up, there are absolutely no complications in this position. And after these further moves, Steinitz resigned. But that's the key move in the first position, rook e8, and then I think you have to spot rook back to g8. Very nice winning method. So that was Lasker. We move on to Capablanca in the next video.